And we got, so here on Facebook Live, we've got Stuart. Oh yeah, so hi everyone. So Stuart Roberts said, I want to pound cost average into the market via Kraken. In the original crypto course, we sent funds in via an account in Germany. Do you still advocate this or putting funds straight into Kraken? Oh yeah, so Stuart, it's a really good question. Back in 2017, Kraken, they didn't properly accept GBP, which was a bit annoying. And so the way that you had to do it is you had to send it to a German bank account, etc. But they've obviously got their systems in order now, so you can literally send, GBP straight from your bank to Kraken, and that's what I do. I send it straight from Santander, etc. Santander to Kraken, and then I'm in. And then they send it back as well. When you do take fiat from Kraken back to your bank account, it does take 5 to 7 working days. It's a bit cheeky how they do that. It's like a day to get in, 5-7 days to get back out. Right. I've got a few bits and bobs that I would like to talk about. If you followed me and my crypto shizzle for a while, you may or may not have heard some of the stuff we're going to say. But I guess like anything, it's always a good prod. So, first of all, in fact, I don't know if you saw, I posted out a video earlier today, which was a video I made 8 or 9 months ago, when Bitcoin was about $9,000. And I made my case where that $50,000 Bitcoin in a relatively short period of time was a high probability, and we hit that yesterday, which gets me pretty freaking nervous at the same time, because for a long time I've also said once we hit $50,000 Bitcoin, you need to be looking out for that pullback, and so I'm getting pretty antsy at the moment. But before we talk about that, I just wanted to sort of talk about the bigger picture, I guess, in terms of how much more legs there is, or how much further we could see in crypto. Now, as I said, I think the other day, there's a big difference between riskiness and volatility. So if you go back 4 or 5 years ago, the crypto space was pretty damn risky, and it was also volatile. And a lot of people genuinely think volatility equals risk, but it really doesn't. So cryptos was going up and down, 50% plus or minus, and it was also risky. But fast forward to now, where we have top cover, so to speak. So we've got massive companies, banks, corporations literally buying into Bitcoin and Ether. We've got it. We're getting a bit of legitimacy. And although crypto is still very volatile, it's no longer risky, in my opinion. Especially when you look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is almost $1 trillion market cap right now. That puts it as big as Apple. It's like one of the big. If it was a company, it would be one of the biggest companies on the planet. And so it's not risky. It's been battle tested for about 12 years. It's been slandered and had so much FUD going around for the last 10 years. It's been attacked constantly, and it's still sat there being the best performing asset in human history, and it's never been hacked. So in my opinion, it's not risky. Yes, it's volatile, but it's not risky. Which means, for me personally, I'm far more easier to put a bigger percentage chunk of my liquid net worth into crypto now. I've always said it's wise to put up to 10% of your liquid net worth into crypto as a punt, but it's no longer a punt. So for me personally, I've got probably 60-70% of my liquid net worth in crypto right now, and I actually want to put more. I mean, I wouldn't sort of hesitate at putting up to 90% of my liquid net worth into crypto now, seeing as what's happening behind the scenes. Now, I think I'm not sure how accurate these stats are now, because I think this is a bit of old information. But according to a Credit Suisse report in terms of global net worth, I've got a little list here. There are 2,095 billionaires on the planet, and all of their net worth is about $8 trillion. We have 46.8 millionaires, so 48.6 million millionaires on the planet, and that's about 150.3 trillion in terms of total net worth. We then have 499 million people that have a net worth between $100,000 to $1 million, and all of that is 140.2 trillion. And then we have 1.6 billion people on the planet that have between $10,000 to $100,000, and all of that equates to about 55.7 trillion. So the grand total of global net worth is $354.2 trillion. I would say plus or minus 10, 20 trillion dollars. So let's just say 354. Now, the reason why I still see huge growth to come, and we're not even in the beginning stages of adoption here, is that let's say it gets to crypto becomes a very popular asset, where 1 in 5 people have crypto, and a lot of people think, oh, at some point everyone's going to have crypto, but it's still not the case. I mean, if you look at stocks have been around for centuries, thousands of years, maybe, no, centuries actually. Yet if you walk down the street, not every single person has stocks and shares, even though it's it's common. Everyone would say, yeah, you need to have some exposure to stocks, etc. And I would say probably 1 in 3, maybe 1 in 4 people have stocks. So we can't assume that everyone's just going to have crypto, because it won't be like that for a long, long time. So let's just say crypto matures a bit more, and 1 in 5 people has some sort of exposure. That they have 10 quid's worth of Bitcoin or whatever. So 20% of that 354 gives us 70.84 trillion. Okay. Now, just hold that in the back of your mind for the moment. 70.84 trillion. Now, if you were to have a punt or a little dabble on an investment, it wouldn't. I think it would be fair to say that you'd happily put 5% of your liquid or your investable assets into a new punt. Okay. Put it this way. Let's just take an average person. I guess a somewhat average person. Let's say someone is earning 1,500 quid a month, and they got a couple of hundred quid surplus every month. But they have, 10 grand in life savings. So what is that? 10 grand in life savings, and they wanted to put 5% of that. So that's 500 quid. I'm pretty sure most people could put 500 quid into, a new asset, or those that are investing. So if we had, so take that 70.84 trillion, where 1 in 5 people get crypto, and those people that that 1 in the 5, they've put just 5% in. That gives us $3.5 trillion. Okay, so that's $3.5 trillion moving into crypto. Now, let's just say, in terms of the Bitcoin market share, it fluctuates quite a lot. But let's just say 50% of the total crypto market share goes into Bitcoin. At the moment, it's about 60%, but when the alt rally comes in, that's gonna fall a bit. So let's just say 50% of the whole crypto market cap is Bitcoin. Well, 50% of 3.5 trillion is 1.75 trillion. Okay, so just store that number in the back of your head for the moment. 1.75 trillion. Now, here is the thing that I guess not many people are aware of. Like, still, even I speak to crypto experts, and they still don't know about this thing called a multiplier. So if I was to go on to Coin Market Cap right now, Coin Market Cap, and we look at the total market cap right now is $1.54 trillion. Okay, now what this doesn't mean is that there definitely isn't $1.5 trillion of actual hard cash sloshing around in the market, and that's because there's a whole bunch of derivatives, options, futures, ETFs to a degree, and also exchanges that do leverage trading. And people have bought a Bitcoin when it was like $10, and now it's sat there being $51,000. There's this multiplier, and it incorporates everything. Now, on average, the crypto multiplier is about 20x. So let's just say I'm completely wrong and I'm 100% incorrect, and the multiplier is only 10. Okay, so going back to that money running into Bitcoin, that 1.75 trillion. Well, you need to actually do 1.75 trillion times the 10x multiplier. That means we then have a Bitcoin market cap of $17.5 trillion. Okay, so then we have somewhat of a pessimistic or very realistic appropriation of what sort of capital may flow into Bitcoin, not cryptos in general, just Bitcoin. 17.5 trillion. And now, and because we have that the equation I created, more patient Kryptonians, we can work that out. So you do 17.5 trillion divided by the circulating supply of Bitcoin. Now, here's the other question. What is the circulating supply of Bitcoin? Again, I'm looking at CoinMarketCap right now. It says circulating supply 18.6 million Bitcoin. But we all know that's rubbish, because there's been at least 8 million, or I would say between 5 to 10 million Bitcoin have been lost. Literally lost. I myself have lost 15 Bitcoin back in 2016 by putting in a typo. I literally sent 15 Bitcoin to the wrong address, which hurts, because what is that? 15 times 51,000. So I've made a $765,000 typo, which is slightly painful now I think about it. So in terms of circulating supply, let's just say there's only, and it's not just Bitcoin being lost. There's also the super strong hands. So I mean, there's 1 million Bitcoin that have just been sat in the Genesis block from whoever Satoshi Nakamoto is. That hasn't moved. You have all of the grayscale investments, and you have all of the massive whales where they've just parked it in a Bitcoin wallet and it's just sat there not moving. So I would say the circulating supply, being generous, is probably $10 million. 10 million. So I can't. There's too many zeros for me, so I need Google to help me here. So 1 second. So here we go. What is 17.5 trillion divided by 10 million? Come on, Google. 1,700,000, so 1.7 mil. In fact, let's just be even more pessimistic. What's 17.5 trillion divided by 13 million? That's 1.34 million. So there we go. Here we go, 1.3, I'm going to write 1.334 million. So what this means is that eventually over time, if we have just $1.75 trillion of hard cash flowing into cryptos, that's going to balloon into 17.5 trillion into Bitcoin, which then pushes Bitcoin to $1.34 million a Bitcoin, which is just obscene. It's literally obscene. Now, the time frame, I don't know. How long is it going to take to take crypto to go, or Bitcoin to go from a 956 billion market cap to what is it, 17.5? It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, hell, it could be 3 years. We just don't know. But this is the sort of the upside. So my long-term view on crypto is extremely bullish. I'm just short-term. I'm very, very nervous right now. Now, in terms of nerves, I mean, I could just go, right, screw it. I've got my stash. I'm gonna park it all up in cold wallets and just forget about it, and accept that crypto will probably have, or most likely have, a 50% correction at some point. Don't know when, and then it's gonna bounce, no doubt, and then just have an easy life. But I guess me being a trader, I just can't do that. I like getting out, waiting for a drop, and then getting in again, and end up with more Satoshis for my fiat. So I guess that's the thing I sort of wanted to start off with. We've got some hands up here. So who here in Clubhouse, does anyone have a question so far? Or anything you just want to, add? We've got Akos and Andy. We've got some hands up here. We've got Tom, Andy, James. Hey, got the usuals. Okay, first come, first served. Questions?
Hi, Siam. Yes, it's Akos. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about the future of decentralized finance? So usually that DeFi. What do you think about it?
Yeah, DeFi is going to be huge. So for those who on the Facebook Live who may probably didn't hear that, he's asking what are my thoughts on decentralized finance, and it's going to basically replace centralized finance. That's my opinion. So then you have to look at, okay, what's the global market cap of centralized finance right now? Well, you then have to add up the market caps of every bank on the planet. that I don't know what that figure is. It's going to be trillions. So I think DeFi is going to be absolutely huge. I think more in the mortgage space, that's going to be, as in the lending, I guess, mortgage space, that's going to be disrupted very soon. I mean, Aave, which is a great crypto lending platform, they've got their targets set on mortgages as well. And it's great. I mean, I've already done a test trial on a whole bunch of DeFi apps. So I've done crypto borrowing on Celsius. Oh no, it's just 2 so far. Celsius and Aave. Now Celsius was a bit dodge, in my opinion. I got all sorts of weird squirrel scent saying, nah. And I mean, and the loans are fixed term, and then it goes through the normal bloody standard approval. We must wait 24, 48 hours before you're approved, blah blah. And then it's just a bit, yeah. But with Aave, it was ridiculous. The APY was about 4%. There's no fixed term, so I literally, you can borrow, basically you park crypto on the Aave platform, and you can then borrow a percentage of that at like 4 or 5%. It's variable, so it will fluctuate up and down, but there's no fixed term. You can literally, it could be a 1 second loan, or it could be 10-year loan, whatever. And so what I did is I parked. I mean, they had this sort of health meter, and I wanted to be safe, so I parked $50,000 worth of Aave onto the Aave platform, and I borrowed $12,000 worth of Ether. So it came up to, I think I borrowed 7 Ether. And then what I did is I was like, okay, I'll take that 7 Ether, put it in my wallet. Wow, that was simple. And literally, I borrowed $12,000 worth of Ether in the space of like a few clicks. It was like 5 minutes. And then I was like, okay, let's try something here. And then I bought 7 Ethers worth, or 4 Ethers worth of another crypto, and then 3 Ether worth of another crypto. So yeah, that was quite good. And then I did it for a week. Thankfully, the other cryptos I bought with that 7 Ether mooned. And I was like, right, I'm going to cancel this loan, this crypto loan. And all I needed to do was pay back the 7 Ether I borrowed, plus bugger all interest. And then, yeah, then I just literally just took my $50,000 of Aave off the platform back into my wallet, and I was like, this is too easy. This is like, and so as our oh my look, so Koa, I'm talking. Sorry, ignore the kid. So yeah, and Rob Feidler, you're completely spot on. With negative interest rates around the corner, I can see DeFi will be huge. Some of the staking rates are excellent, plus hopefully asset appreciation as a bonus. Yeah, I completely agree. So the Anzedge, hopefully I've said that name correctly. He said, "What's crypto in your portfolio?" Have a look at my YouTube channel. I've put it on there. It's one of the most recent videos. It's in my crypto playlist, if it helps. So any other questions? Any hands up? Any mics? Anyone that wants to? So we've got James, Andy, Tom. You've got the mic.
Siam, yeah, if I can, mate. So obviously I'm quite bearish in the crypto sense, like you are.
Yeah.
But what I can't seem to work out is what might trigger the impending crash. So I'm wondering what you're looking out for. Like, is it purely going to be a candlestick type event, or is there going to be some sort of major news article that might then start making people pull their money out of the main stocks and therefore cryptos, etc. as well?
I honestly don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. It could literally be anything. It could be, bloody hell, another mutant strain of coronavirus, or like it could be anything. And this market is so fickle and tiny that it could literally be anything. It could be a major celebrity dying. Like, one of the things that I'm always chronically have in my mind is that when the Queen dies, it's gonna absolutely destroy the UK economy. Like, I made a video about this a long time ago, but like, have a little Google when you're bored of the standing operating procedures of when the Queen, or what will happen when the Queen dies, and the whole country just goes down. Like I think I remember saying that, seeing that no comedy shows will be allowed on the BBC for 6 weeks after her death. Stuff like that. There was national mourning, all that. it's going to kill the UK economy. Watch the FTSE plummet. So it will be a black swan event, I reckon. Oh no, I would say a grey swan event. I mean, when it happens, we'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. But obviously, we can't pinpoint what's going to happen. But the thing that's really touching my nerves, or touching my nerves, that's not the right word, is getting me worried, is that we're now at $50,000. All the mainstream papers are saying, hey, $50,000, blah, blah, blah. It's gone up X amount since blah. And every man and his dog and woman and her dog is now talking about crypto. Like, it's, yeah. Because of that extra publicity, it's like turning into GameStop. No one ever heard of GameStop, and then all of a sudden everyone heard of GameStop. And like, I had friends that I didn't even know invested went, oh yeah, I bought in at GameStop at $200. I'm like, no! And so we're now having like everyone trying to get involved with crypto. Now, so that's one side of it, which really scares me. But then the other side of it, I mean, there's so much bullish fundamentals going behind the scenes. We got, what was it, not BlackRock, we had Morgan Stanley saying it's got one of its funds, which has $150 billion in AUM, assets under management, is now looking into buying crypto. Oracle is looking like it's about to buy some Bitcoin. Apple is hinting. I mean, there's loads of massive companies hinting or looking like it's about to buy Bitcoin. And don't forget, on the 3rd and 4th of February, Michael Saylor, the guy who basically put all of his company reserve assets into Bitcoin, he's got like, I think he's just got over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin now, probably a bit more. He briefed 7,000 CEOs on how big corporates can buy into crypto or buy Bitcoin and not move the market. So on the 3rd and 4th of February, 7,000 CEOs, and therefore will be 7,000 CFOs, would have been briefed on this Bitcoin for corporates, and they will be having all their meetings, etc. Soon after that, Tesla announced their acquisition that they did beforehand. Yeah, so there's going to be mass buying across the board, which will then push it even further. So the thing I don't know is that, yeah, we're going to have a 50% pullback, like almost guaranteed, but will it happen from 50k down to 25k, or is it going to happen at 75k or 100k? I just don't know. I don't think anyone knows. Does anyone else have any thoughts? Pop your hands up if you have any thoughts, or in the chat box. So, okay, I'm just going to read some of these comments here. Alex said tier 5 lockdowns. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Gary said Philip is now in hospital. Okay. Question: what is the best way to trade the stock exchange? I mean, what platform to do this? So Samantha, are you talking about stocks? If you're literally going to buy and hold stocks, I mean, keep it simple. Interactive Investor or Hargreaves Lansdown. If you're going to trade, probably IG Index. I'm not a fan of IG Index, but it's pretty simple there. But you're going to get hurt if you don't know how to spread bet properly. Shanta, when do you anticipate the next stock market crash? I don't know. If I was going to have a wild stab in the dark, I'd say Q1, Q2. Oh no, easy. 2021 this year. Don't know when. Probably end of February. We may start to see the first tremors, but I don't know. And at the end of the day, although I'm anticipating it, I'm not trying to forecast or predict it, if that makes sense. In fact, it probably doesn't make sense. All I'm waiting for is the market to tell me when it's crashing. So it'll start to crash, it'll pull back, and then I'll get in on the pullback to then short. Kobo, kiss off, bugger off. So yeah. Kevin said, just taking something from your recent video about how banks trade. Do you think big companies will try and short Bitcoin price? Try and short Bitcoin and then buy at a cheaper price? Yeah, I do. Or maybe not big companies, but big banks will. And don't forget some big companies will go and buy Bitcoin OTC, over the counter. So you won't see it on any exchanges, etc. I mean, that's one of the ways that they're buying Bitcoin behind the scenes without really moving the market. But, like, for example, if, person A and person B are both billionaires, one has loads of Bitcoin and one wants to buy, billions worth of Bitcoin, they can literally just have a chat and go, yeah, I'll bank transfer you $1 billion and you send me $1 billion of Bitcoin. Like, that won't be noticed on the exchanges. It'll just be literally peer to peer. So there's a lot of movement behind the scenes. But some big companies won't be savvy. They'll be like, oh, okay, let's just buy Bitcoin. We'll go to our bank and they'll do it for us. Hey, JP Morgan, can you buy us, $50 million worth of Bitcoin? They'll go, sure. And it's them that'll short it. Rob says, MicroStrategy have $900 million debt sale to buy. Debt raise, to buy more Bitcoin. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Grayscale are buying huge amounts. It's just, I think the last time I checked, they got like $35 billion worth of it all. So again, it won't be long before Bitcoin, which is a decentralized crypto, becomes very centralized because all the banks own it. So we're having lots of money rushing into these teeny weeny doors. And so, yeah, like, try and get, like, I've said this for a long time, try and own at least one Bitcoin, because then that guarantees that you'll be in the top 21 millionth of global wealth in terms of Bitcoin. Fahim said, how can you ask me a question? You can ask me a question on the Facebook live chat, or if you're in Clubhouse, you pop your hand up, and I'll click you. Again, in Clubhouse, please, if you have any questions, pop your hand. I see a few hands here. I'm just going to click microphones for everyone. Feel free to chime in.
Siam.
Yeah.
A quick question about your trading program, the Realistic Trader.
Oh yeah.
You're giving advice on crypto on the Realistic Trader.
Not advice.
I did a course with
Sorry, I just have to interrupt. I don't give advice. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You're letting people know what you're doing on Realistic Trader. I did a course with you in Peterborough, and it was spread betting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I realised it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But do you do anything to do with the advice you're giving on cryptocurrency with anything else other than being part of Realistic Trader?
No. To be honest, I don't really talk about crypto that much. So the thing is, I'm a trader. I trade humans. Okay, that is basically all I do. I trade humans, and so humans flock to certain things, and they go, oh, okay, there's interest over here, and then I'll get in on that, and I'll trade it up or down or whatever. I ignored the whole GameStop stuff because that wasn't trading. That was just pure gambling. And so now that human attention is in the crypto space, this is why I've got, obviously there's more volatility, there's opportunities here. So that's why I'm sort of, increasing my, I guess, coverage and talking about it. But as a whole, in terms of like the Realistic Trader, I hold a weekly live session. So I call it the Monday Trading Pub. And for about 2 hours or hour and a half, I will place live trades, talk about crypto. I'll talk about everything. And crypto is just like normally a half an hour segment on there. But yeah, that's about it really. So, but really RT is all about learning how to trade. I mean, any, crypto stuff, I'll just put on my YouTube channel, really. But some of the private moves, but any sort of crypto moves that I'm doing, like smaller moves, I do tell my students. Like recently, I just got in and out of Aave a couple of times actually, which was really quite profitable, which is good. But yeah.
So the only way to get that info would be to be Realistic Trader. Yeah,
because some of it is quite personal. Like I share everything real time. So I want to be. I'm completely transparent. So people see all my losers as well. I just lost I think 24 grand on an oil trade, which was annoying. But yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. Hey Duck. So Duck said, "What car would I buy if it wasn't a Tesla? I'd just stay at home. Is there any point in buying any car other than a Tesla?" No, it'll be an Aston, obviously. So Kelby, have you got something in place to short Bitcoin when there's a 50% pullback? No. I really don't want to stand in front of this train. When there is a 50% pullback, I will just be waiting and I'll just be trying to time some sort of entry to go long, but I'm not going to be shorting this. I think you're going to get absolutely burned if you try and do that. So Hakon, hopefully I've said your name right. He said, what do you think about eToro? Is it a good time to get in on crypto now or wait for a pullback? So my standing opinion on joke gimmicky brokers such as eToro, this is my standing opinion. The joke gimmicky brokers out there right now are eToro, Plus 500, and Trading 212. They're absolute gimmicks. They're not proper trading exchanges. They're not proper platforms. They've got huge marketing budgets, and so they do way more marketing than anyone else, and that's how everyone's sort of flocking to them. And if you're trying to buy crypto on eToro, you don't own the crypto. You're simply buying a tracker on it. Like, people think that they're buying crypto on Revolut, like, because I use Revolut for all my daily spending, and it allows you to buy crypto, but you're not buying it. You're sort of getting a place mark in a tracker, but you'd never own it. If you don't have the keys, you don't own it, as in the private keys. So that's, I just get away from eToro. You need to buy the actual thing. And she said, what's a good crypto exchange for the UK? I use Kraken, and then any crypto that isn't on Kraken, I then use Binance. Binance has everything. Coinbase is fine. I've never really used them, but yeah. However, read Trustpilot reviews today, and both exchanges have like 1.6, 2.5. Yeah, people always complain about, like, a lot of. It's weird. Humans are just weird creatures. We love to shout and complain about things that we're not happy with. But every time we get good service, whatever, we don't shout out as loud as when we get good service. So yeah, and I would say that a lot of the complaints that crypto exchanges get were probably back in 2017, where they had genuine bottleneck issues. Like Kraken, I use Kraken, I still do. But they royally ruined me, or not ruined me. They royally screwed me over in the early part of 2017. I remember I moved £50,000 from one of my accounts into Kraken, and it got flagged up for, I don't know, money laundering or some sort of check, and they held my money hostage. I can't remember. It was either 6 weeks or 9 weeks. I can't remember. But what I wanted to do, I went to buy $50,000 worth of Ether when Ether was $9. And then by the time I got my money on the exchange, Ether was $50. And I was like tearing my hair out. So if I was, a douchebag, or not a douchebag, if I was like, just a moaner, I would have gone on Trustpilot and gone, Kraken have cost me X amount of Ether because blah, but yeah, people just complain. So Samantha says, have you done anything in crypto? I hesitate to call it investing as it feels more like gambling, lol. But have you invested in any of the coins? Yeah, mate, just go to my YouTube channel and look at the one of my recent videos. It's called The Kryptonian Portfolio, and I literally lay it out. I'll show you exactly what I've got. Crypto question, can I offset crypto investment loss against UK tax in any way? Yes, you can. Yeah. If you own it personally and you make big losses, then you can offset your tax. If you have it in a company, it's just treated as P&L. So if you have massive wins in crypto in your business and you crystallize those wins, it's counted as sales. Or losses, you go in your P&L. However, if you're unless you're Tesla, who are very clever. So the way Tesla's done their crypto accounting is really, really smart. So what happens is that the way they've done it is, I forgot the term, but they're sort of chosen when they want it on their P&L, when they don't. So if Bitcoin, let's say they bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, right? And let's say it goes up like it has. I mean, by the way, Tesla bought Bitcoin at $34,000 roughly. $34,000. It's now at 51, 52. They've made huge amounts. So their $1.5 billion of Bitcoin is probably $2.5 billion of Bitcoin. So let's just say they've made $1 billion of unrealized gains. That $1 billion goes on their P&L. So the next quarterly earnings report, it will go down as they'll have like an extra $1 billion worth of revenue. And so guess what? The share price will probably moon or whatever. However, let's say the opposite happens, and then the next quarter or next whatever, Bitcoin drops massively, and they have a 50% correction or whatever, and their $2.5 billion of Bitcoin is now, I don't know, $1 billion. Well, that $1.5 billion paper loss does not go on their P&L; it just goes on the balance sheet. It's really clever. So. Yeah, there's going to be all sorts of fancy ways. So if you're an accountant listening, if you're an accountant right now and you have no idea about crypto, seriously, the easiest way to add another revenue stream to your business is get clued up with crypto. There's going to be a tsunami of crypto sort of accounting questions and requirements. Yeah, and if you're an accountant and you want to get into it, just literally sign up to recap.io. You just hook up the API feeds to your exchanges, and it calculates all the tax like that. And so you can do that for your clients, and then you can give them your legal advice. It's just a no-brainer if you're an accountant. Sorry, I always bastardize your name. Sorry, mate. Thoughts on Woonomics on chain analysis on Twitter? I'm a subscriber. I've never heard of them, mate. Sorry. Alex, we do not short crypto. Marcus, do I pay any attention to the crypto 4-year cycle? Yes, I do. I'm slightly torn between being bullish as... okay. I don't really... Yeah. At the end of the day, there's actually quite a lot of... financial models around crypto. You've got the 4-year cycle, you've got stock to flow, there's all sorts. For me, I try and simplify things, and I'm just I'm cautiously optimistic. No, I'm cautiously pessimistic short term, wildly optimistic, and aggressively bullish long term, to the point where, like, when we have this crash or pullback, whether it's a 30% pullback, 80% pullback, I don't care. Not only am I going to buy the dip, I'm going to borrow the dip. So I'm going to plow extra fiat capital into crypto in the dip, and I don't know. For easy numbers, let's say I put another $100,000 into the dip of Ether. I'll buy $100,000 of Ether, and during that dip, I'll then take that $100,000 of Ether and then put it into the Aave borrowing platform, and then I'll borrow another, I don't know, $50,000 worth of Ether, because you can leverage it up a bit if you want. So therefore, I'll be leveraged 1 to 1.5. That's how bullish I am. I'll be borrowing the dip. Okay, so Paul, if you want to follow, the realistic trade is where I talk about everything, sort of trading, investing, etc. Carmel. Do you think it's best to buy through personal or company account? Now, this is a forever changing thing. So I remember back in 2017, I was speaking to a whole bunch of different accountants, and buying it personally was the best option. But the way things are moving now, I think it's probably handy to having it in your company as well, because corporation, it depends on your CGT threshold. Like, it's either, was it 10%, 20%, and then additional rate, which is 28%, I can't remember. So if you're an additional rate taxpayer like myself, like I get taxed up the arse. So it's actually better for me to own it in a company because it's treated as sales. So all I'd have to do is 19% corporation tax, and it's a bit simpler. So yeah. Fahim, you got your hand up. Oh, sweet. Thanks for... Hey, you have the microphone, mate. Can you speak?
Hi, Sam. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah.
How are you doing, Sam?
Yeah.
Thank you. I just joined this live, and I just wanted to say thanks. First of all, I'd been hodling since I got your course 2 years ago.
Hey,
or something like that.
Nice.
So I never sold anything, and my 50k is now 160,000 or something.
Awesome.
But I just don't know what to do because, like, I've not taken any profits, sorry, yeah. I had written a few things down. I was just because essentially, like, I realize I'm not leveraging or anything. I'm just doing, just holding it on Coinbase.
Cool.
It's majority of it's Ethereum and Bitcoin. I think about 110 of it is, and then there's about 40 in other coins. And I was just would you suggest like taking out the initial? So I mean, the thing is, I was looking to make some returns where I could, actually where it'd make a huge difference to me, so. So I feel like I'm not, I'm listening to all these people who are trading, and I don't think I'll have time to keep on top of things to trade efficiently, and I'd probably end up losing stuff. So I thought this is probably the saper way of doing it. So I just wanted your thoughts on, what you'd suggest in that position.
It's a good question and an interesting topic. So I would say for 99.9% of people, sit on your hands and do nothing is literally the easiest thing you can do. Like if you're in crypto, you shouldn't be in this for short-term gains. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. By the way, everything I say is not advice. It's just my own 2 ETHs worth. So if you're in crypto, you should be in this for at least the medium-term play. So medium term is 3 to 5 years, and I'm wildly bullish over the next 3 to 5 years. And so I would simply just sit on it and forget the news. Don't look at the charts. I mean, how often do you look at the price chart of your house? Like, let's say you buy a house for 250k. What you don't do is look at the chart or revalue your house every 2 minutes. It's going to tear your mind to bits.
When I did this, I think so I'm not trading as such, but I put like 250 or £500 into all the coins on Coinbase, and every time it hits 1,000 or above, I take it and put it into Ethereum or Bitcoin. So I've just increased my nice. Bitcoin and Ethereum holdings that way.
Nice. I think one of the things which I've said for many years now is that with crypto, especially if you're not a trader, like rule number 1, only put risk capital in. So capital you can afford to lose. Now, obviously, not many people listen to that, and they just do whatever. And the other thing is that once you've got a certain amount of profit, it is pretty handy to pull out your risk, your principal, because that way you're risk free. So I was telling, like a month ago, I got back in the market. With the new Kryptonian portfolio, and I put £95,000 into crypto, and the last time I checked, it was 320k. So it's gone up over 200 odd grand in a month, or literally a month.
And that's with your Kryptonian portfolios. If I just follow, it's not the same as the one 2 years ago.
No, it's changed. Okay. It's not that too much. It's not that different. I mean, I've put it on my YouTube channel. You can see. And so in that month, Bitcoin only went up 36%, whereas the Kryptonian portfolio went up like 215% or more now. So it's So for me, right now, I'm about
that I could put in, Sam, and I'm just like, for my business account, I think I've spoken to you about this before, where I've struggled to know what to do with that, and so I could invest through the business, and I could put a lot more in, and I'm just feeling like, am I being silly? Not, just that money just sat there, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be greedy. I've done reasonably well so far with that, and it's just such a difficult sort of, because taking out the 50k is I'm not doing anything with it. So I was thinking, should I just leave it in and go for some of the smaller altcoins and see if I can get a bigger return, or should I start actually trading?
Ultimately, I can't say, because I don't know what your risk appetite, your whole personal financial affairs, etc. But what I'm personally doing is I'm just waiting, because I think there's going to be a little bit more upside, but I'm about to take out 95 grand. So my original principal, I'm about to pull that back out. And so I'll then be left with 200 and whatever grand. And then with that remaining 200 and odd whatever grand, I'm then going to be really aggressive. Because it's completely free.
Sorry to interrupt. When you take it out, would you just take it out like equally from each coin? Is that how you take it out?
No, because the way I balance everything, I literally just take it out of 70% of my holdings in Aave and Ether. So I'd literally just take it out of those two, because I'm also split testing things at the same time. So part of the portfolio is the tracker thing, where you have the best coin of every sector. So I've just left that, and that's doing really well. But so for me, that 95k I'll pull out at some point, end of the month or whenever. I will then just plough that back in my businesses, because I know for a fact for every pound I put in at the top of my business, at least £2 comes out within a certain period of time. And so that way I've got a whole bunch of free crypto, and I can recapitalize my businesses and create more cash flow, and then that future cash flow I then put back into crypto. And also, it'll be obviously I'll be repatriating that capital. If in the meantime, I see a massive crash or pullback in crypto, I'll be like, oh, okay, screw the business, I'll put it back in. And then borrow the dip. I've just looked at the time.
I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm sorry, I don't want to hog
too
much
this is the last
time.
question because we've got to end the whole thing. This is supposed to be half an hour.
Sorry. just with the stocks, if you're investing through an ISA, is there a way to capitalize on cryptos? Like, is there a stock that you'd, there used to be these trackers, and I don't know if they exist anymore with the Bitcoin.
Well, actually, having said that, so UK derivatives, so crypto derivatives in the UK are now banned, but they haven't. But you can still, So the selling of crypto derivatives in the UK are now banned, so you can't buy any. Thankfully I've bought in my SIP an ETH tracker, and I've still got it, and it's that's nice. But someone in the group posted, I think it's called Argus. I'm scrolling through the thing right now. I'm trying to find it. But apparently there's a company which you can invest in, which is on here we go, Argo Blockchain PLC. I haven't checked it out, but he was saying that it's a company that just invests in blockchain type stuff. So it's not a derivative, it's just a company. So you're buying shares of that company. And I'm looking at the chart, it's done well, but I haven't really looked into it. So
thank you. Yeah. Thanks very much.
No worries. Well, folks, thank you for being here. We've got 53 of you on Facebook Live, so nice one, and I guess a dozen here on Clubhouse. Sorry, this was supposed to be a half an hour thing. It's now turned into 47 minutes, and I've actually got a roast chicken in the oven, and I think it's now burning. So, I've really got to run, literally. So, gotta love you and leave you. The recording of this Facebook Live will be on my YouTube channel sometime today, tomorrow morning, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I'm holding these live sessions every day at 4 o'clock. So tomorrow won't be about crypto. It's going to be about something else that I haven't decided. Right. See you, everyone.
Cheers, Simon.
Cheerio.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,